burning that will be happening. Like they're going to have to buy Icosa off the market if they don't have any and stake it.
If not, you give up your position. Like I feel like not necessarily give up your position, but like there are certain points where it's like you need, like, I don't know, like Hedron's fallen pretty far. I don't know what the ratio is. But like Hedron has fallen, I think, farther than Hex and Icosa have from the first set. So like this one's lining up to be a pretty close, I think, burn. You have to, like, dude, that's like 20-30% yield in a day. You have to like be in it.
The first round can be acceptable because people weren't sure what was going to happen. Like the people who are in the know, they kind of like had an idea because the burn will be high, right? But nobody could predict like the amounts of yield that people would be getting. But now, since we have the previous auctions as an example, now it's easier to predict. So I wonder if people are going to feel the FOMO and just buy Icosa to stake it. Because ideally, it doesn't even matter if the Icosa price is going to dump a little bit after you buy, because you're capturing the yield. That's the point of it, right? So like we might see a run up in Icosa price if people realize that they will have to buy off the market. And also another point that you made, if you don't buy off the market, you're going to get diluted, right? You are already getting diluted. The more people are staking, the less percentage of the pie you're going to be eating, right? You can see it in your percentage if you haven't added anything to your stake. So the only way that you can actually recover your position in percent terms is by buying it off the market and creating new stakes. Or if you're lazy with a lot of wallets and you don't want to do that, you can just add and reset your timer. I mean, because how else are you going to get Icosa? You can burn your Watsos, but you're removing your ability to capitalize from the Watson pool, because the burn is copied to all the 3 pools, right? So the other way, like you buy a Hedron in order to stake it, but you're not going to be able to acquire Icosa immediately. So the only way is to buy Hex off the market, which is not ideal currently, in order to stake it. So buying it off the market is the most effective way.
40% discount if you buy compared to wrap.
Exactly. So this is the most logical way, is to buy it off the market. Once that ceiling is hit, then it's not worth buying it off the market anymore. So you would buy Hex and stake it. But until we hit that ceiling, market buying is the best. But keep in mind that if you market buy, the people who are sitting in their Watsas, and the closer you get to the ceiling, the higher the Icosa price is, the more people are justified burning their Watsas. And this cleansing effect is going to keep on occurring for a while. But since you're going to stake your Icosa anyways, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, you can get a little bit more Icosa if you try to time it, but isn't it just better to have a position and acquire the yield immediately?
You know, sometimes I want to make sure that I pass off good info to people and everything. You know, maybe we don't see people start talking about it until after the auctions have happened. Doesn't mean there won't be buy pressure, but like, you know, all the other YouTubers and stuff talking about it, they just recently just kind of opened up. I don't know if I don't keep up with RG3 every day. I saw a video today, but it's not like he's talking about compounding Icosa, what is it, February 13th or 14th auctions?
Yeah, somewhere around that. So keep in mind, it's not advantageous for people who are in the pool to tell other people to come and participate in the pool in like short term. If you think short term, like why would you have other people come in and take a portion of what you could have had more of? So obviously you don't want to tell people that, but that's short-term thinking. The more people are in the game and the more people buy Icosa, the more the price will go up. The more of a cleansing effect, like I said previously, is going to have on the WhatsApp pool. So over time, the effect of Icosa price going up removes impatient people from the game. And the more often this happens, the quicker they're going to be out of the game and the more stable the price will be in the future. Because the person who's just sold 50 B points worth of Watsas, right? That person, he could have sold when we were at $1, right? But for whatever reason, maybe they have a good reason, they did it now. So this red candle is caused because Icosa's prices, have been hovering around like 65 cents. Had we been at 40 cents right now, then that guy might not have ended his Watsa stake, He might not have burned. So the price going up in Icosa incentivizes people to get out. And the more we're going to have this motion occurring, the faster people will get out. So in long term, it's really good.
And 50 B points, that's a lot. That's what, $50,000 initially.
Correct.
And it was 21 million, I think, total. So that's a nice little chunk. Everyone's percentage, like, you should definitely notice a difference, I would imagine.
Yeah, so I wonder when this FOMO is going to kick in, because people should be aware of it, dude. But it's crypto, so usually these things that happen on a very emotional whim. So we might see it like the last couple of days prior to the auctions. Word is probably going to be going around.
Yeah, I'm looking here and I'm trying to think what was the price of Hex when, what was it, November 13th?
Are you talking about the inception of Icosa or the first auction set?
The first auction set.
Yeah. 13, 14, 15th. I think the yield ticked over the 15th. Just look 14th of November and try to figure out what the hex price was. I'll look.
Yeah, so like I'm looking here and it says November 13th, 14th, we were right around 3.3 cents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3.3. And Icosa had a run up prior to the auctions. I just don't remember exactly how far in. Okay, no. We had a run up like, what is that? 20 days prior to the auction starting. But I remember actually, let's see, 27th. I remember Hex also had a run up at 27th of the October. Yeah, so Hex was running up and Icosa was following that. And then it started dumping.
Yeah, it was at like 0.29 and now we've dropped 50%, but there was a lot less HSIs, I think, for this first one. So it I don't know, like it's still 2 weeks away, but it's still looking like the ratio of like the amount, if the same amount of stakes went in and everything was the same, it looks like we would be setting ourselves up for an equal, maybe a little bit bigger burn for this next one at these like current levels.
Yeah, so also keep in mind that the stakes, they have more days acquired. And obviously when you look at it on a 15-year time frame, it might not seem like a lot, but it is still 180 days, okay? And so the people who have been locked in their Hedron stakes, they've been observing what has been going on at the auctions, and there were some pretty good deals from time to time. So maybe you're going to see a higher frequency of bidding wars between players going on in the next auction. So people could bid higher if they want to acquire that stake. And also, we don't know what's going to happen with the hex price. What if we have a run up? Those stakes are going to be valued more.
I keep forgetting about that fact. Like, you know, like those have served another quarter basically, or another quarter year or whatever. That does make them that much closer to not serving a penalty, that much more Hedron that can be minted. And like it really does add it, not in a huge way just because it's 90 days, but like each 90-day cycle, it really starts to make you evaluate the value of that HSI a lot differently.
Agreed. And it's a building effect. You know, we're gonna be here. The majority of people who are currently here, they're all gonna be here in 3 years from now. Okay, and there is a chance that some of the stakes that we're seeing right now be committed to the contract and be bidded for. These stakes can be circulating in 2-3 years from now, and then the people who will be bidding on them, they're going to be bidding on a previously locked T-share rate, which is not available anymore. So you're getting a stake, a 15-year stake, but you only need to serve 13 years, right? The premium that is going to be baked into the bid of Hedron is going to be amazing. And that just keeps escalating the further down we go the line. At some point, remember, some of these stakes, once they have served 10 years, people are acquiring a 15-year stake and they only need to serve 5 years. What's going to be the mechanic here? How are you going to calculate the value proposition? How are you going to calculate how much Hedron is worth burning for that stake? So as we go on, the game is just getting better and better.
God, the game theory on that's just like that's going to be really exciting to watch. Do some of these stakes start getting broken at a certain point, or like is like you know the like Icosa still going to be the exit method? Like, interesting.
Yeah, eventually, I mean, we want, as the ecosystem grows and more liquidity comes in to support sell pressure within the Icosa within the Icosa system, we're gonna be like, we want the liquidity to support bigger sell pressure, because that's gonna make Hex go up a lot into the future. It's gonna create a pathway for people to exit their, I mean, capitalize on their Hex yield, restake that 15 years, send it to the Icosa contract, and instantly gain liquidity instead of selling the Hex price down. So yeah, the Icosa price might suffer for that a little bit from time to time, but remember that it's a part of the loop, because the person who sold his Hex interest for the Icosa and got out liquid, now he left behind a Hex stake, which will circulate in the auctions. That's going to incorporate like a higher number of Hedron burned into the future, and create an incentive for people to stake Icosa. So one thing leads to another.
And remember, every single day that you're playing the game, like, so I'm not really worried about the Icosa price at all. I'm only worried, or like I only pay attention for when it dips, because every day that you serve a hex stake or a Hedron stake, you know, you're earning that Hedron for free. Well, not for free, but through time and monetary power over time, you're receiving Hedron to use as ammo to buy that dip and then get increase your position. So it's like the cool thing that I like about this is like this game, like once you're in and you're staking and you're playing, you're earning ammo to grow your position every single day as people cash out. Remember that one joke I said? I was like, the people will be like, please, please, Mr. Whale, please dump on my head. And be like, no, and they restake. Like, I think a lot of that's going to, hopefully people start to understand that. But like, dude, if Icosa dipped to 20, 30 cents, oh boy, if you were just staked in Icosa and Hex, well, you're earning all that Hedron every single day. You can use that Hedron to either sell to buy Icosa or to, get more HSIs through the buybacks.
Yeah, I swear, one of my favorite things. Go ahead, Hamish.
You know, with the HSIs that are in there, the batch of like 4,200 something, is that part of the 15th of November ones, or is there going to be another cycle hitting then after the 90 days, which is coming up? So we've got one batch from the 15th, and there's another batch that's coming in like 2 weeks or something, or?
I don't know. I mean, that Icosa price will determine that. If the Icosa price hits the ceiling, then you might see another batch of hex stakes coming in. But if the ceiling doesn't get hit, then there's no reason to commit hex stakes, because you can just
But you know how on the 15th of November people put more hex stakes in. They sell them back. When does that hit the auctions? Obviously it's taken 90 days, but when do they hit the visible batch that's in?
Well, it should be 90 days from the time that they send it to the contract.
So they only appear after 90 days is through, or so it takes 90 days for them to be visible, or?
Yeah. The contract takes a loan and it doesn't pay it back within that 90-day period, right? So it just automatically goes to the auction.
Hamish was the one with the 50 billion Watsas and bought the Kami coin. I'm calling it now. It was definitely him.
Busted.
That's why he's quiet about it, dude. He doesn't want to be called out.
So like they're not visible until like the 90 days is up. So 15th of November, say 2,000 have been put through. Those 2,000 are not going to be visible on the liquidations until the 90 days. At day 90 or whatever.
Day 180.
Okay. Yeah.
And another thing is like we could see similar prices as last time, or even a different ratio. And it does seem like some of the OG guys, they're starting to, pop into the Icosa Yield parties, or just talking about it. There could just be more players, more competition, like more people understanding how the relationship of hex stake versus Hedron versus the Icosa price, and understanding the function. Like you know, you could see like a way bigger burn because there's less discounts. Just, you know, even though there's less stakes, there'll be less ones slipping through with like 50% discounts. Like pretty soon like you'll like there'll always be little ones that like kind of slip through and get good deals and stuff, but over time I think the margins are going to start getting slimmer and slimmer. Like I don't think this next burn all of a sudden like everyone's getting 80% discount with more players and less stakes.
Oh, you mean on the actual stakes, like on the HSIs?
Yeah,
Be
because
harder, like
there's more
competition for
players
the bidding.
bidding. Yeah, and people start picking up this like, oh, I can go start HSIs at 6 in the morning when no one's looking, and like everyone like starts finding times that they want to do it. There's more players, and they're like, you know, getting like in the traditional finance world, from what I understand, if you can go in and make a trade and make 1%, you're doing fucking awesome, you know, like just real quick 1% or whatever, or, you know, 5%. Like everyone's going to be fighting at some point, especially with lower gas fees with Pulse. Like, dude, if I could buy an HSI for $100 and then sell it and make $105, like in one of Alex's videos, he's like, well, you would do it all day. So like even like on Pulse Chain, like in that world, like fucking dude, you know, if I could buy something for $104 and sell it for $105, and it just took a couple clicks, like that's on a small scale. But if you're talking $1,000, that's $100, you know.
Important detail. Last auctions, the majority of the discounts that people could find, those discounts should never have existed in reality. It only became a viable option for people to grab HSI stakes at such discounts because of the poly contract from the Maximus guys that had a bug within it. Because ideally, that executor should have been able to grab all the HSIs that it wanted for fair value, at least, if there was no competition. But since all that Hedron was not burned and it went to a stake instead because of that bug, the burning that we saw at the 90-day mark could actually be dwarfed by the next set of burning events.
Oh, just because like Poly is going to be bidding higher on all the big ones that had the discounts?
Well, because the majority of the liquid Hedron that people could have been bidding with was sent to one wallet, and that wallet, I mean, that player was supposed to overbid everyone else and grab the majority of the good stakes, right? So, but since it couldn't bid anymore. I mean, it could bid, but it couldn't transfer the X stakes out, so they stopped bidding. And instead of using that Hedron to bid and then have globally burned Hedron increased, they stopped burning it and they made a Hedron stake instead, diluting all the stakers. So that amount of liquid Hedron should have been burned instead of staked.
That's true. And you know, it goes to the more competition that I was saying. Yeah, absolutely.
So if the next auction is going to be based on the actions of natural players with like natural liquid Hedron and not funneling everything into one specific place, that might have a bug again. If people just do it on their own, and we're going to see bidding wars. We can see huge burns next time.
And I feel like you really want to have like, and wait, with Poly, is it this number 2? Like, is it the same thing as last time? They're just going for the hex stakes. They don't play, and then they stake the additional Hedron past that.
I don't know, bro. I don't know anything about what they're doing, what their plans are. the mechanics, if they want to keep the stakes for 15 years or whatever. I don't know. But hopefully anything that they do will be successful. I believe that people grow from their mistakes, you know. So
As somebody who's made enough mistakes, I agree.
but yeah, I mean, we saw people be locked in their Hedron stakes, probably salivating over the majority of those HSIs that were just sold for huge discounts. So maybe this time they're going to be more active with their Hedron stacks. Maybe they will restake everything. Who knows? But maybe they're going to stake half of it, try to get some. Yeah, I don't know what the decisions will be, but I think hex price will determine a lot of the actions that people are going to be taking.
You know, and we could still see lower Icosa price, like going up to auctions. I guess it depends what these big players like. Well, it was Dolphins that were 180 days, right? Like what the big Dolphins, there's quite a bit of stakes coming out. Let's see if they. I think the smart thing is for them to not dump their Icosa, but let's see what they do. I mean, if they dump, man, I'm gonna be just chilling and staking and having ammo to buy it for more stake points. I don't think they're going to do that though. Like I think that they're going to use their Hedron probably and try to get Icosa.
You've seen people do different things. Some people sell all their Icosa yield and they get hex instead. Some people unstake their Hedron and then they sell all the Icosa yield for more Hedron and then they restake everything else. So it just depends on what people prioritize. What they think have the biggest speculative value is probably what they're going to be trading their yield for. Time will tell who is right, who's wrong, but the plays are there to be made, that's for sure.
I'm still betting on the Watsa Icosa pool. Like if you have money in those two, like obviously Hex too, but like there's something about being in Icosa right now that just, man, I love Hex to the fucking core, bro. I fucking love Hex. And Icosa is all about Hex, and there's two the same thing, but like right now, if you want a bigger Hex position, you need to be staked in Icosa. 100%. Like you need to be in Icosa pool and Watsa pool, especially after that big burn. Oh, 50 B points. Whew.
Yeah, 50 B points, that's huge, dude. That's with Hex being down. That's with 40% discount on Icosa. Or whatever the Discord is. Let's discount is, I mean. Yeah, 36% discount right now.
The auctions have been pretty quiet as well. Hey, like maybe like only 30 or so, 30 to 50 HSIs a day, if that. So it's still pretty good yield.
Yeah, it's decent. We had like 200 T-shares burned 2 days ago, I think.
Yeah, because some of the fudders were like, oh, it's only going to be a 1 day event, but it's, I mean, this is like day 70. Hold on, this is like day 74. 75, 76 today, so 76 divided by 7, it's 10 weeks.
Do you remember when the guy committed all those HSIs to the contract and acquired like a whale position in Icosa? Yes, here it goes. 1.3 million Icosa stake today, 4.4% of the pool, and that was January 23rd. So you already can witness a unpredictability in big burn days. So now it's not only like every 90 days. Now you have, like, this is the beginning stages of creating these irregularities, you know? So we're not at the 180 day yet, but 7 days ago, somebody burned a huge amount of HSIs. And so 90 days from 7 days ago, that's going to be another burning event in the future. And we don't have to wait for the 270th day, you know? So over time, we're going to have this moment where it is not predictable anymore. Like day 195 can have a big burn, day 285 can have a big burn, you know? Like, so over time, it's going to create this moment where it is actually worth to constantly be staked.
I don't think a lot of people realize, like, if you aren't staked or you don't, if you stake, okay, if you stake poorly in general, but what's considered staking poorly, if you're not staked in Icosa, dude, you're losing your fucking hex position over time. You really are.
Yeah, you don't want to be liquid Icosa. Like, if you
You
have
want to be
Icosa,
liquid anything.
No, there is a case to be made. Like, you can be liquid. You don't have to be staked like fully 100%. Like, being liquid comes with a price, but it also comes with a nice pro. You know, it's a pro and con. The con is that your position is getting smaller, but the pro is that you can exit anytime you want. You can capitalize on the market without taking a big penalty. So being liquid, there's advantages to it, but it's just more risky. But then again, what if you're staked and you can't unstake and the price goes up 10-fold, 20-fold, 30-fold? What are you going to do? So again, it's just a game. Like, how do you want to play it? You want to be staked and constantly be accruing a position and you don't care about what happens in 2 years from now, 3 years from now? Or you want to be liquid and play the market when the opportunities present themselves? Or maybe you don't stake 15 years. Maybe you just stake 2 years. You know, like, there's different, like, just whatever your tolerance is, whatever your risk profile is, these things matter. So being liquid is not a bad thing, but you can look back at any point in time and say, damn, I should have staked. But you don't know what the future holds.
I did some degenerate plays that actually weren't too bad because I wasn't 100% staked. It is nice. I was it you who said something about, like, have your 5% bag?
Yeah,
trade with.
You should have something that you can channel your inner degen with, you know, because there's opportunities in the market from time to time, especially when they are not tied together. So for example, let's say that you love Hex, you love Icosa, you love Hedron, right? That's fine. Keep like 95% of everything there, but have that 5% in the main market that's connected to the Bitcoin movements, you know, or the Ethereum movements, which are basically the same thing. But you want to have something there just in case something happens. And I'm not saying buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, but just something degen if that's what you like. And then if that thing 2x, 3x, then you take the profits and you put it back into the Hex ecosystem. So if you want to channel that inner degen, that's a way to do it. Is it advisable? No.
I'll be real. It's pretty, you know, you have a lot of risk when you do trading and stuff. It is kind of nice just sitting on your fat ass like I do now and just like watch everything stake and just earn money for just participating in the system.
Also, another interesting fact, when that person committed all those HSIs to Icosa contract acquired the liquid Icosa and staked 1.3 million Icosa. Because the Icosa contract borrowed against all those hex stakes, 33 billion Hedron was paid to the Icosa pool in yield. So remember that the Icosa yield is not only in Icosa, it also brings in Hedron, which is huge. It's like a little side thing that people tend to forget from time to time. But the problem with that is that it's not regular. It's not consistent. One day you can have 0 Hedron yield. So the Hedron yield is deeply dependent on how many HSIs get committed to the contract. And the only way that you can eat a portion of that pie is to be staked in the Icosa pool.
Over time, shouldn't we, like, at least for a little bit, like, wouldn't we, you know, as long as if you do the game theory of like, yo, everyone's playing the game properly, each of the Icosa stakes, they're starting to really build up some yield, you know, within a year or next 6 months. Like, a lot of those will have a lot of ammo to hold up the Icosa price. We might not, maybe we don't see 60% below ceiling price again for a while. Maybe, you know, like, who knows what's going to happen. I imagine dips are going to still happen, but man, I think we hit ceiling again between now and the next set of auctions, not the February 13th, the May ones. Oh, actually, no, it would be, we could even see it because the 300 HSIs that were sent back. So 87 days or 83 days from now.
All I'm going to say is there's a lot of people who are supposed to know everything about Icosa, but they don't. These people, they have a responsibility to know about Icosa, but they don't. What that tells you is that it is extremely bullish.
I still take the opinion every single day you aren't staked in the Icosa pool, bro, it's devastating to your position in the ecosystem. It's like, could you imagine not having any Icosa or Hedron staked and just staking Hex, even if you have 1,000 T shares or something like insane like that? Like, dude, not being staked in the Icosa pool now or fully understanding it, dude, it kills you. It really just, I think it devastates your quote unquote dolphin position in Hex. It's you're going to get fucking kicked out.
Hey, Mike, when you say that, you're talking about the Icosa Hedron ecosystem as opposed to the Hex ecosystem, right?
Well, the two are so, like, it's the same thing. Like, you know, staking Hex and staking Icosa are part of the same ecosystem, but like, let's say you're just staking Hex and you're one of the OGs and you're feeling all cocky because you have all this Hex and you're staked, you have all these shares. Maybe you were staked through Big Payday. I didn't stake through Big Payday. And like, this is like the one opportunity for everybody else to catch up is through Icosa staking. And like, if you are only staking Hex with or without 10x multipliers, it doesn't matter. Obviously 10x being better, but if you like, you're going to start not being as big of a player over time just because you are only staked in Hex.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And I see why people are like a little unsure, like or maybe don't know how the system works. It's very complicated, but like if you can't establish that, like, staking Icosa is actually kind of more important than kind of like it's a little bit higher priority than staking Hex right now. Like, you obviously should be staked in Hex and all these things, but like, dude, I'm sorry, like, you need to be staked through the seeded liquidity. You have to, especially while there's not many participants. Oh, you know what's another factor I was poking at? So one of my stakes at the beginning, it was like 0.02 or something. Like it was not, it was just like it was like a $3,500 stake or something. And like now that same stake is like 0.012 or something. So the pool got bigger too, or it got way more competitive. Like, I almost lost 50% of my position here. That's another thing to keep into account. But like, I still think that it's going to out trump any other staking other than maybe the Wattses.
Yeah, the Wattses are overpowered, man. It's the only place where your position cannot get diluted, no matter what.
Those Wattses put me to sleep at night.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I
it's
can't
one
wait
of
for
those
our.
plays. Go ahead, bro.
Oh no, you go.
What was I saying? Yeah, it's one of those plays where it scales so good with time and it scales so good with human emotion. Like, the more irrational people, the more irrational that people are, like, the more you win in the pool. The more impatient they are, the more you win in the pool, which can be applied to anything, but you can't be diluted, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, you can also, it's a very direct kind of feel to people emergency end staking their hex shares, their T shares, whatever. Like, people are rejoicing when with the EES penalties. It's a very beautifully entwined dynamic and similarity.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
It's like EES on steroids.
And still, like, that artwork with the Wattses, God, does that add just so much value if you get one of the good ones, or I think they were all pretty good, but like the ones that like people are willing to overpay for if you want to sell them.
Wait, has the artwork been assigned?
No, when it does.
I have no expectations of the artwork of others.
So true. Dude, Wattses are so good though. Like, they genuinely don't need artwork. That'd be cool if they did.
Yeah, we were talking about how the artwork is a gateway into our ecosystem, because there are people who enjoy like betting on speculative items, and even if Wattses don't get burned, but they get traded from player to player within the market, it's going to increase the total value. I mean, the total volume of trades. And when these numbers go up, it creates, it's like an attention magnet. People who are in the demographic of NFT degens, they're going to look at that and go like, what is this thing? Why these pictures, they look alike, but why is this one worth so much and that one worth so much? What's the difference here? and then they dig a little bit deeper, and then they look, oh, something quite what is this Icosa thing? All right, whoa, let me check. Did they have a Telegram community? Okay, I'm going to join, ask a couple of questions here and there, and then from that moment on, they start learning about Icosa and all the way backwards toward the T-share. You see, so it's like we're grabbing this demographic of people, which is incredibly important.
Yeah, that's a really good point and very exciting and bullish for sure. What does anybody know when it comes to these NFTs, these Watsas being, once they have a signed artwork, whether the artist who has created the images is going to be kind of like put forward, or is it just going to be like these are just Watsas and no real mention of the artist, if you know what I mean?
There should be a section called the metadata, and within that metadata, you should be able to see who created what.
Okay, good. I mean, it's only fair they should obviously be mentioned and appreciated for their stuff. But what I'm getting at is it like you say, these degen NFT people are going to be like, okay, who? Because I think, am I right in thinking DJ Too Damn Funky is part of this artwork community? And so is like there's a chance potentially like people are going to be like, oh right, here's the next, whoever, Nifty, whatever,
Yeah, sure. They can value his style, and they can hunt for other pieces that he has created, for example.
Are worth $50,000.
It's a huge market, especially when the bull returns. So the beauty of it is, again, like even though they don't get burned, and even though the people within the pool might not get a higher percentage of the WhatsApp pool, just the fact that the volume in terms of speculative value and trading between people, that also introduces value into the position, even though your percentages do not get up. You have a big portion of people coming in, and that is invaluable.
Yeah, no, I totally get your point. It's almost a good thing that this artwork's taking a while, whilst people are burning before they get their images attached.
Yeah.
See, the thing that the Watsas really got about me, is obviously the position, it earns yield and everything. When I was talking with DJ about it, but the name is just so fucking catchy. The name is going to, it's going to be. I see a world where it's on the news and stuff, and you see people even who are some of the people some of those billionaire guys starting to really get into the Watsas because it's about branding, and man, the Watsas have it down. Limited, rare. I mean, 20,000 and 20,000 total. That's 1/5 of the total hex staker class. Not even all the hex stakers can pretty much get one.
What's going on, boy? Hey, I just yeah, absolutely, Mike. I've always felt the same way about the name. I think 10 years from now, it's so huge, man. But yeah, I just wanted to jump in and mention that.
Oh yeah, it's a close call between compound. If you had $1,000, depending on the price of a Watsa versus $1,000 staked in the Icosa pool, it would be tough to make the call, I think. But I think there's gonna be points where one is better than the other. There's gonna be a point where those Watsas, bro, they just disappear. They're gone. I'm not in a desperate state to sell my Watsas. I'm keeping all the ones that I have now. I think it was you who mentioned maybe even buying some Watsas with your yield. I totally agree. I'm looking at it too, is oh, if I don't need money, it's do I restake it or do I buy a Watsa? And I'm gonna have to start making some hard choices. I think over time, you the Watsas are just going to become just so exponentially rare because all of us
absolutely.
have the opportunity.
Yeah, when you zoom out and you look in the long future, yeah, it's going to be a small select group of very, very lucky people to be still in it. And who's to say you can't burn your Wattses and take your yield and put it right back into the Icosa pool?
Yeah, that might be a play, especially if the artwork's like from Jawa or something. You might as well just burn it. Oh, he left. Never mind.
Now that literally is a burn. Speaking of the payouts to the pools, what's the percentages of Icosa payout from the Hedron pool, Icosa pool, and Watsons? Is it split 33%, or how does that work?
The amount of Hedron that's burnt is then divvied up to the pools evenly, and then like any Hedron that like is like EES'd, half is burnt, but the other half is sent all to Icosa. But it's just like dollar per percentage entry point that you, if you're like looking to be like, what's the best? I think right now it's Icosa pool now. I haven't seen a lot of good price Wattses. Oh, there's one here. 5 billion points for $7,800. Yeah, 70. A really good buy, I think. Dude, these things really shot up, dude. These things were going for like $1.50 per million. They're really going up. Yeah, there's some two right around too. They're not. Ooh, that's a tough call. Oh, we're almost at like 1.5, I think, for day ones. Let me see here. Oh shit, we're at like 1.6 Icosa for day ones. That's crazy. 1.6 Icosa per fucking million points.
And how long have these things been around for? Like not even half a year or something, right?
We're nearing half a year.
The half
Yeah,
a year and 2 weeks.
right. So there you go. You're think about that. You break even after 6 months. Now let's add 10 years.
Kismet said something earlier that made me think like the speculative value. I always included that in my head, but like, there's speculative value on Hex, there's speculative value on the compounding Icosa, but man, that speculation of the artwork, man, that's a real multiplication factor. If you got something that was super good, dude, you could sell it for 100,000 times what it's like worth in Icosa and get a bigger Icosa position. Like God, like that's such a wild card. Like I think the smaller point ones are really high value.
Hey Mike, have you ordered your NFT display monitor in advance of the artwork dropping yet, or are you waiting to see what you get?
I was waiting to see what I got, and but there's always ways to display it with just like a TV. Like I think you would just put up like a picture and then just like, put up the picture of your Wattses.
I can imagine you never watching TV again with that option.
Just always just stared at your awesome Wattses.
Like, have you watched any good shows recently? It's like, no, been watching other shit.
I have a couple shows that I watch, man, but like, dude, most of this TV like sucks, man. Like, I don't want to see a transgender Batman. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not for me. I have a few shows and I watch like crypto interviews and stuff like that, or like, you know, any like debates and stuff like that anymore. Like,
Yeah,
who the fuck
dollar-
wants to pay for cable?
Yeah, no, that's gone. Yeah, dollar cost crypto was kind of mentioning on his today's stream, I think. Just saying, you know, if you're really into this game in crypto, like what you should be listening to, watching is just crypto content. And it is fascinating. We all obviously love this space, but I've certainly found over the last couple of years that like I'm like 90%, 95% probably watching. If I'm going to turn on the TV, I'm probably going straight to YouTube and probably watching something about crypto.
Yeah. As soon as like you know, some interview pops up, like, you know, through my Twitter feed or something, I'm more likely to watch that than to watch the Kardashians or you know, mainstream media or anything like that. You really have to keep up because this is so fast paced. You know, like we're talking about the P2 coming up and everything, and it's like, bro, like I had no idea like what it is, and there's always these new things. We were talking about revoking transactions using that other app. There's just 100 things to always be looking into, and then as like just keeping up with the content and all the new stuff, I have had a hard time keeping up with my stakes.
Sometimes you need some light relief, though. So you can go to Russian Telegram channels and watch trench warfare before you go to bed.
Oh, don't you worry. Mike gets light relief from the sounds of it.
Hey, I won't go on about it, but I watched this film a few weeks ago. Speak No Evil. It's not your normal film. It's dark as so dark, psychological. Normies go on holiday, meet psychopaths, but it's kind of it's different.
Did you guys check the yield? Ticked over.
Yeah, it's pretty average.
I didn't keep track of the number for this one.
It was all right. Yesterday's was decent. Yeah, one of my favorite things, and I can talk about this every day. Every minute of the day, I can talk about this one, okay? Is like when I see a bidding war in the auctions, and then I look at the Hedron price, and people who are bidding against each other, they don't have the necessary Hedron in order to win the stake. And when I see them go to the market and buy a Hedron off, and I see them like put a 10K buy, like a 5K buy, an 8K buy, just to keep bidding against each other for an important stake that they want their hands on. That's one of my favorite things to do, because I know that this is the beginning stage of this type of bidding warfare, so to speak. Because in the future, we're going to see much more of this. And it is beautiful to my eyes to see Hedron price spike, even though it's small candles right now, but it's a window into the future. In the future, you're going to see more because Hex will be more valuable. And so if Hex is more valuable, then the accrued yield within that HSI stake is more valuable. And that would justify buying more off the market and justify a higher burn to acquire the stake.
You know, what if we see a crash in Hedron again? You know, like I don't know, like maybe like I think it's like if I was like I would definitely buy at these prices, but like what if it goes low? Oh man, like who knows what's going to happen the next what 2 weeks, 17 days or whatever. Going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the price currently, if you're trying to speculate on like a bottom play, I mean, Hex is a much better buy than Hedron, in my opinion.
A couple days ago, Mike was in chat talking. I was asking questions about revoking of permissions, and it was quite enlightening. And I was listening, and I said, "Well, I'll start doing that too." So I led myself to a site that showed me that I had forgotten about around $500. I think it was on Avalanche. Avalanche, just sitting there. I forgot all about it. Oh, sweet! You know what I do? I went and bought some Hedron. Those auctions are coming up, and I think we're close to a bottom. Or no, I meant no, I got Hex. So that's what I wanted. Yeah, Hex. But no, I wanted to say thanks, Mike, because that led to that extra money, bud.
Oh hell
Nice,
yeah!
congrats.
It was I think Synthwave who like taught me a little bit about it because I was questioning some of that. I tried that one app that he mentioned the other day, and my wallet didn't get rugged, so I actually donated to them too. Did you do yours manually through Etherscan?
To be completely honest, I went with Etherscan, forgot the steps that I was told, went to YouTube, led me to that site, which showed all my assets through all the chains that I've been involved with, which led to me just being distracted and forgetting about the permissions thing and just getting my money and buying that Hex. And then I haven't actually revoked any permissions as of yet. So I'm lazy. I see Hedron going up though on these auctions though.
It very well could.
I mean, the only way that you can gain access to those stakes is through Hedron. So I bring this example many times, but it doesn't matter if you have 10 gajillion Bitcoin. If you want to acquire the HSI stake, you must buy Hedron. There's no other way. The T-share gives you access to liquid Hedron in a natural way without buying it off the market. But the only way that you can gain access back to the T-share is through Hedron. A very important mechanic to understand now. With Icosa protocol being in existence, it changed the game completely. What people thought that they were just dumping, just shaving off their T-shares. Not shaving off, that's a wrong way to put it. But let me think. So people were just dumping something that they could acquire through the T-share, right? Without understanding or without thinking about, and nobody could have known this for sure, but it just so happens that in the future something came along that would let you gain access to more T-shares or T-shares that could have a lot of value in the future because they're locked at a day that cannot be achieved anymore. And you can only gain access to them through Hedron. So dumping Hedron on the market now is you're getting rid of your ability to access the HSI stakes in the market and the auctions in the future.
I think that it's like my other view. It's like it's okay to sell it for Icosa though, or like a Watsa. But like I agree, yeah, dude, Hedron's going to go up. Penny, Hedron at some point will very likely happen.
Yeah, currently it can be viewed as the auction currency. What if we see other things in the future that are going to be built? Another type of auction. But the only currency that you can acquire that thing that you're trying to bid for is only through Hedron. What if it becomes like the main auction currency of the ecosystem?
And what if there's something else built and it just uses Hedron like you mentioned before? Yeah. Or is that what you were referring to?
Sure, you can understand it in whatever way you want, because Hedron is such a flexible thing. And again, the beauty of it is that whatever you build in the future that will burn Hedron in one way or another, that is an addition to globally burned Hedron the previous day. And so that new system that feeds off Hedron being burned automatically creates an incentive for new people to come in and stake in the Icosa protocol, be it Hedron staking or Icosa staking or both. Even though they're not going to be participating in that new thing that incentivizes Hedron to be burned. So whatever gets built into the future creates an incentive for new people to come into the ecosystem and stake, which is amazing. There's so many different plays that could be made based on the fact that it's globally burned Hedron divided by the hex share rate. So it doesn't matter how it gets burned, as long as it gets burned. It can be included in the next day's yield in terms of Icosa.
I'm kind of hoping for this one that we see like a little bit lower Hedron price, maybe, just get a bigger burn or higher hex price and really cause that big burn. And then I want to see a run up for the next set. So that like the Hedron that I've been accumulating now is like, if Hedron 3X's and I'm participating in the auctions, like, well, those people paid 3 times in terms of dollars, but like from what I earned just through playing. So I'm being patient for that when that time comes. And there's going to be times where they're just like, there are a lot of people with Hedron. Oh, and then there's going to be times where there's like, people have pretty much run out or most of the big players are staked. Having some 30-day, or having stakes that are available to be claimed, or you start a Hedron stake and stuff, depending on how everything works out, be very useful to always have some Hedron in your back pocket. Mr. iPulse, how you doing?
Hey, Mike, how are you? Can you
I'm
hear me, Mike?
beautiful, bro. Yeah. Beautiful. How are you?
Good,
Life good?
man. Yeah, life is good. Patient. Watching all this fighting that's happening between people on Twitter.
Hex community or just people on the internet in general?
No, just general, just the fudders and all that shit, I remember someone saying a day one back in the Pulse Chain chat room, they were saying that before Hex launched, there was this big FUD happening with Hex. So it's like a deja vu. Same thing, before Pulse Chain is gonna launch. So, I'm listening and I'm taking advice and staying patient, staying busy, which is really important, I think, because time flies much faster when you're busy. How's your dog, Mike?
He is doing good. He is doing really good. Thanks for asking. Still being Koga.
Did you get yourself a new mic, man?
Yes, I did. My old one, like, it was time to like get a new one.
Yeah, because your voice sounds a little different.
Oh, really? I think that old mic was broken. Like I remember doing some tests on it, and it didn't sound that good. These new ones I got, the H9s, they're really nice. Or Sony
Yeah,
H9s.
sounds a little different.
Well, I'll have to go look into that. See how different it sounds.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's more real. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
I haven't checked my yield for about, I don't know, for about a month. So I'm looking forward to having a look one of these, maybe even tonight. I don't fire up my computer all the time. And I just got back from the Australian Open tennis a couple of days ago.
Did you win?
No, I went to watch.
Oh, you went to
So I was just a spectator looking for some clues to the puzzle. Yeah, just went to watch it live. I wanted to see the players' speed and all of that. I went with two of my students because I wanted them to see the real speed of the game, because amateur tennis players tend to hit the ball harder than what the pros do, actually. But their consistency level is much lower. And, if they can see it with their own eyes, then it's much better than me repeating it 1,000 times.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I remember playing when I played a little bit of tennis, like the guys who were really good, man, like, dude, they were hitting that ball. It was hard to hit back. And every time I hit the ball back, like, they were always able to return it.
Yeah,
The speed of
they know where to position.
tennis is insane.
Your eyes gets used to that speed, so it becomes normal. I guess it's like when you're driving and you're doing 180 k's per hour. It feels not normal because you're not used to it. But the 60 to 100k feels like you are just on a normal, the same as with tennis. The eyes get used to the speed of the ball, and that's something that comes with a lot of practice. That's why the pros practice every day, is because of the speed. They want their eyes to be conditioned to the speed. So
The
they
eye
need to
is a
do that.
muscle.
Yeah.
Brain's muscle. in its own right.
It's not they don't know what they're doing. It's just that the eyes, they need the conditioning all the time. Looking forward to having a look at my yield on my Wattses, Mike.
Day ones are at 1.6 Icosa per million, or like right next to 1.6.
We've had a ton of burns
Beautiful.
today. Nice. I think it's like around 60. What is it, billion today?
Beautiful. I seen Executioner the other night talking about liquidity. That was exciting, but it was fucking 2 a.m. at my house, mate. So I was trying to sleep. I'm trying to get into a good habit of getting up at 6:30 in the morning. Tennis is starting on Monday for me, so that's tomorrow. And I love staying up at night till like 4 a.m., but just want to have a better sleeping pattern this term. So yeah, that would have been really interesting to pay attention to Executioner getting into that liquidity business, because I would like to learn something like that. How you been, Mike?
Dude, life's pretty cool, man. Life's pretty cool.
Good, good, good. Well, my father-in-law is dying at the moment, so I'm witnessing another death coming up in the next month.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. I've seen it with my mother, and my partner's brother. He hardly ever comes around to have a look, and I was just saying to my